Okay, so this is the Daf Yomi for Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. We're in Sanhedrin 85. So I'm finally getting caught up. I hope you guys have a easy fast and a wonderful Purim. There's going to be a blood moon over Purim when we're reading the Megillah. Just unbelievable things are happening in the world. It's a wonderful time to be alive. It's also a crazy time to be alive. They say I was just learning some stuff today, and you know the passage is brought up, between the debate between Shammai and Hillel, and they converged on the idea that it's better that that you would not be created, but now that you're created, basically make the most of it. It's like we live in this crazy world. All right. Well, anyway, 85. So I'll start at the end of 84. The last paragraph, it says, the Gemara answers, why did you hear? So whom did you hear that said, the one who is destructive in causing a wound is liable to be executed if there is a constructive element to his action? It is Rabbi Shimon. And doesn't Rabbi Shimon say with regard to one who performs any prohibited labor that it is not necessary for its own sake? It is labor for which he is exempt. In this case, causing the wound was inadvertent and was not his objective when performing the action. So the sages raised the dilemma before Rav Sheshet. What is the halakha with regard to whether a son may be designated an agent of the court in order to flog his father or to curse him if the court sends him to ostration, to ostracize him, right? So Rav Sheshet said to them, and did the Torah render it permitted to flog or curse another who is not his father? The Torah prohibited such actions. Rather, the reason that an agent of the court may flog or curse one found liable is that the honor of heaven takes precedence over the honor due to another. Here too, a son may serve as an agent of the court because the honor of heaven takes precedence over the honor due to his father. So, and they're saying an agent, that's a shliach. Okay, so the Gemara raises an objection from Braita, and just as with regard to one who is commanded to strike him, there is a mitzvah not to strike him under other circumstances. With regard to one who is not commanded to strike him, is it not right that there is a mitzvah not to strike him? Okay, and you might think that, this is, it's kind of silly, but why would you want someone who's the son to exact that punishment, the court punishment, on a father? But you have to consider the possibility that, let's say that there's a person, let's say that they were lost, separated when they were a child or something like that, or taken away, just like Joseph, right? Joseph was taken away and his family didn't even recognize him when he was older. You have situations like that where, somebody can come back in at this later time, and then, the question is this legitimate? Is this right? Is this right? Is this righteous? Is this the righteous thing to do? Is it the honorable thing to do? All these different things. And this is the reason why this stuff is here. It's not because, they want sons to exact this punishment on the fathers. But anyway, the Gemara raised an objection from Braita. Okay, and just as with regard to one who was commanded to strike him, there is a mitzvah not to strike him under other circumstances. With regard to one who is not commanded to strike him, is it not right that there is a mitzvah not to strike him? The Gemara explains the Braita. What? Is it not that both this first clause of the statement of the Braita and that later clause of the statement of the Braita are referring to a situation where striking another is a mitzvah, where the other is liable to receive lashes? The distinction between them is that this latter clause, which is referring to one who is not commanded to strike him, is concerning the case where the agent is his son and is therefore prohibited from striking his father even in that capacity. While that first clause, which is referring to one who is commanded to strike him, is concerning the case where the agent is another individual, not his son. This indicates that it is prohibited for a son to flog his father as an agent of the court. The Gemara answers no. In both this clause and that clause, it is no different if the agent is his son, and it is no different if the agent is another. And it is not difficult to distinguish between the clauses. Here, in the first clause, the reference is to a situation where striking another is a mitzvah, as he is an agent of the court. There, in the latter clause, the reference is not to a situation where striking another is a mitzvah. And accordingly, this is what the Braita is teaching. And just as in a situation where striking another is a mitzvah, where the agent of the court is commanded to strike him, there is a mitzvah not to strike him even one lash beyond the number determined by the court, as it is written, 40 lashes shall he strike him. He shall not exceed, lest if he shall exceed to strike him. Deuteronomy 25 verse 3. Accordingly, in a situation where striking another is not a mitzvah, where one is not commanded to strike him, is it not right that there is a mitzvah not to strike him? The general prohibition against striking another in any situation is derived from this verse. The Gemara suggests, come in here, shama, come in here, proof from a Braita. In the case of one who emerges from the court condemned to be executed, and his son came and struck him or cursed him, the son is liable to be executed for striking or cursing his father. If another came and struck him or cursed him, he is exempt. And we discussed it as follows. What is different about the case where his son strikes or curses him that he is liable? And what is different about the case where another strikes or curses him that he is exempt? And Rav Chisda says, the Braita is referring to a case where they are imploring the condemned man to emerge from the court to be executed, but he is not emerging. Therefore, it is necessary to employ force. Apparently, even under those circumstances, where the use of force is sanctioned by the court, it is prohibited for the son to strike his father. So the Gemara rejects this proof. Rav Sheshed interprets this Braita as referring to the case where they are not imploring him to emerge from the court for his execution. It is referring to a case where the condemned man is proceeding willingly and is not an agent of the court, but someone else who strikes and curses him at his own initiative. The Gemara challenges, if so, even another who strikes one who is condemned to death should be liable, as it is prohibited to strike or curse another. The Gemara responds, if another does so, he is exempt, since the legal status of one condemned to death is that of a dead man. Therefore, one is not liable for striking or humiliating him. The Gemara asks, but doesn't Rav Sheshet himself say, if one humiliates another who is sleeping and the individual never awakens and dies, the one who humiliated him is liable to compensate his heirs for that humiliation? Apparently, even if the status of the condemned is that of a dead person, the one who cursed him would be liable to compensate his heirs. The Gemara answers, with what are we dealing with here in the Braita? Are we dealing with a case where he struck him with a blow that does not have sufficient force to cause damage worth one peruta, like a little penny, in which case no compensation is paid? The Gemara asks, but doesn't Rav Ami say that Rav Yochanan says, in a case where one struck another with a blow that does not have sufficient force to cause damage worth one peruta, he is flogged? So a peruta is like the smallest coin, right? He is flogged for violating the prohibition. He shall not exceed. Why does the Braita exempt another entirely? The Gemara answers, what is the meaning of the term exempt that is stated in this Braita? It means that he is exempt from monetary restitution, but he is liable to receive lashes. The Gemara asks, if the clause of the Braita that discusses a case where another individual strikes or curses him and states that he is exempt only from payment of restitution, one may conclude by inference that the clause of the Braita that discusses his son states that he is liable to pay monetary restitution. That is certainly not the case. Rather, the clause of the Braita that discusses his son states that he is liable to be punished in accordance with the appropriate sentence. Here, too, the clause of the Braita that discusses another individual states that he is exempt from punishment in accordance with his appropriate sentence. The question remains, why is another exempt from receiving lashes in a case where he struck him with a blow that does not have sufficient force to cause damage worth one peruta? The Gemara answers, rather, this is the reason that another is exempt, as the verse states, nor curse a ruler of your people, Exodus 22:27, from which it is inferred that this prohibition applies only with regard to one who performs an action of, quote, your people, an action befitting a Jew. There is no prohibition against cursing one whose actions are inconsistent with the conduct appropriate for a Jew. Okay, the Gemara asks, this explanation works out well with regard to cursing, as that is the prohibition mentioned in the verse. From where did we derive that the halacha is the same with regard to striking? The Gemara answers, we derive that halacha as the same as both, as we liken striking to cursing, based on the juxtaposition between the verses that address the cases of one who strikes his father, Exodus 21:15, and one who curses his father, Exodus 21:17. The Gemara challenges, if so, and the prohibition does not apply to one whose actions are inconsistent with the conduct appropriate for a Jew, his son too should be exempt if he strikes or curses his father whose conduct is inappropriate. The Gemara explains, as Rav Pinchas says, in another context, that the reference is to a case where the one in question repented, so too the Braita is referring to a case where the condemned man repented. Although he is being taken to his execution because he repented, he is considered as one who performs actions of your people, quote, of your people, and his son is liable for striking or cursing him. The Gemara challenges, if so, and the Braita is referring to one who repented, another should be rendered liable as well. Rav Mari says, one derives from the expression, quote, of your people, that the prohibition applies only to one enduring among your people, not to one whose execution is imminent. The Gemara challenges, if so, his son should be exempt as well, since his father's execution is imminent. The Gemara answers, the halacha here is just as it is after the death of his father, and the son is liable for cursing his father even after his death. Therefore, he is also liable when his father's death is imminent. Despite several attempts to cite proof contradicting his opinion, there is no conclusive refutation in the statement of Rav Sheshet that a son may serve as an agent of the court to punish his father. The Gemara asks, what halakha conclusion was reached about this matter? Rabbi Bar Rav Huna says, and likewise the school of Rabbi Yishmael taught, with regard to all cases, a son is not designated as an agent to strike his father or to curse him, except in a case where his father incites others to worship idols. As the Torah states, neither shall you spare, nor shall you conceal him. Deuteronomy 13, verse 9. New Mishnah. The Mishnah says, one who strikes his father or his mother is not liable to be executed unless he wounds one of them. This is a stringency with regard to one who curses his father that is more severe than the halacha with regard to one who strikes his father. As one who curses his father or his mother after his death or her death is liable, but one who strikes one of them after his or her death is exempt, as he did not cause a wound. Back to the Gemara. The sages taught in Braita that it is written, quote, for any man who curses his father and his mother shall be put to death. He has cursed his father and his mother. His blood shall be upon him who curses his father and his mother shall he die. He has cursed his father and his mother. His blood shall be upon him. End of quote. Leviticus 20, verse 9. This is referring to one who curses his parents even after their death. As one might have thought, since one is liable for striking and one is liable for cursing, just as one who strikes is liable only when his father or mother are alive, so too one who curses is liable only when they are alive. Furthermore, one may draw an a fortiori inference, if with regard to one who strikes another, where the Torah deemed the status of striking one who performs the actions not of your people a sinner, like that of striking one who performs actions that are of your people, yet the Torah did not deem him liable for striking another after death, then with regard to one who curses, where the Torah deemed the status of cursing one who performs actions not of your people, like that of cursing one who performs actions that are of your people, is it not right that the Torah did not deem him liable for cursing another after their death? Therefore, the verse states, the extraneous phrase, quote, he has cursed his father and his mother, to include even one who curses his father or his mother after that parent's death. The Gemara asks, this works out well according to the opinion of Rabbi Yonatan, for whom the phrase, quote, his father and his mother is extraneous. But according to the opinion of Rabbi Yoshia, who disagrees with him, what is there to say? This is as it is taught in a Braita, that it is written, for any man, ish. That's where we get the word each from, E-A-C-H. It's from the word ish. Hebrew and English have no connection, humorously. As it is taught in a Braita with this regard, for any man, ish, who curses his father and his mother shall be put to death. He has cursed his father and his mother, his blood shall be upon him. What is the meaning of when the verse states redundantly ish? It serves to include not only a son, but also a daughter, and one whose sexual organs are indeterminate, or a tumtum, hermaphrodite, who cursed their parent. When the verse states, quote, who curses his father and his mother, I have derived only liability for cursing both his father and his mother. From where is liability derived from one who cursed his father, but who did not curse his mother, or one who cursed his mother, but did not curse his father? The verse states, quote, he has cursed his father and his mother, from which it is derived that the halacha is as if the verse states he cursed his father or he cursed his mother. This is the statement of Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yonatan says, in verses of this kind, when two subjects are joined with the prefix of the letter vav, that prefix indicates the conjunction and, meaning both subjects together, and it also indicates the conjunction or, meaning each one by itself, unless the verse specifies with the word together, in which case the meaning is both together. Therefore, the phrase, he has cursed his father and his mother, is extraneous. Since according to the opinion of Rabbi Yoshia, the verse is not redundant, from where does he derive that one is liable for cursing his father after his death? The Gemara answers, he derives it from that which is written, quote, and one who curses his father or his mother shall be put to death. Exodus 21:17. The Gemara asks, in the other Tana, Rabbi Yonatan, what does he derive from that verse? The Gemara answers, he requires the other verse to include a daughter, a tumtum, and a hermaphrodite, and the prohibition against cursing a parent. The Gemara challenges, but let him derive that halacha from the redundant use of the phrase ish, right? As Rabbi Yoshia does. The Gemara responds, Rabbi Yonatan holds that the Torah spoke in the language of the people. The repetition of the term ish is merely a rhetorical flourish commonly employed in speech, and no additional halacha can be derived from it. Okay. The Gemara asks with regard to the Mishnah, and let the Tana teach a second stringency in the Mishnah. This is a stringency with regard to one who strikes his father that is more severe than the halacha with regard to one who strikes his father. That with regard to one who strikes a parent of Torah, This is the stringency with regard to one who strikes his father that is more severe than the halacha with regard to one who curses his father. That with regard to one who strikes a parent, the Torah deemed the status of striking one who performs actions not of your people to be like that of striking one who performs actions of your people, which is not with regard to one who curses a parent. The Gemara responds, the Tana of the Mishnah disagrees and holds that we liken the striking to cursing based on the juxtaposition of the verses. The Gemara suggests, let us say that the opinions of these following Tanaim are parallel to the opinions of those following Tanaim, as it is taught in one Baraita. With regard to a Samaritan, you are commanded to refrain from striking him, but you are not commanded to refrain from cursing him. And it is taught in another Baraita, you are commanded neither to refrain from cursing him nor to refrain from striking him. It is assumed that everyone, that is the Tana of each Baraita, agrees that Samaritans are true converts. Since their conversion was sincere, their status is that of a Jew who sinned. Based on that assumption, the Gemara suggests, what is it not that they disagree about this? That one sage, the Tana of the second Baraita, holds that we are likening striking to cursing, and the halacha is the same with regard to both. Therefore, it is neither prohibited to strike a Samaritan, nor is it prohibited to curse him. And one sage, the Tana of the first Baraita, holds that we do not liken striking to cursing, and there is no prohibition against cursing a sinner, but there is a prohibition against striking him. The Gemara rejects the parallel between the two Tanaitic disputes. No, everyone, that is the Tanaim in each Baraita, agrees that we do not liken striking to cursing. And here they disagree about this. One sage, the Tana of the first Baraita, holds that Samaritans are true converts and their status is that of a Jew who sinned. Therefore, there is no prohibition against cursing him, but there is a prohibition against striking him. And one sage, the Tana of the second Baraita, holds that the Samaritans are converts who converted under duress due to the threat of lions, 2 Kings chapter 17, and their conversion was never valid. Therefore, their legal status is that of a Gentile, and it is neither prohibited to strike a Samaritan nor to curse him. The Gemara asks, if so, does it say who it was? No, it doesn't. Okay, the Gemara says, if so, is that consistent with that which is taught with regard to the second Baraita? And in terms of damage caused to his ox, his status is like that of a Jew. Apparently, even the Tana of the second Baraita holds that the conversion of the Samaritans was sincere. Rather, learn from it that the two Tanaim disagree with regard to the juxtaposition of the two prohibitions. As initially suggested, their dispute is not with regard to the status of a Samaritan. The Gemara affirms, conclude from it that this is the crux of their dispute. Okay, new Mishnah. One who abducts a Jewish person is not liable to be executed unless he brings the abductee into his domain. Rabbi Yehuda says he is not liable unless he brings him into his domain and exploits him, as it is stated. If a man shall be found abducting a person from his brother and from the children of Israel, and he exploited him and sold him, then that abductor shall die. Deuteronomy 24, verse 7. The phrase exploited him indicates using him for labor. With regard to one who abducts his own son and sells him, Rabbi Yishmael, son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka, deems him liable, and the rabbis deem him exempt. If one abducted one who is a half-slave, half-free man, like a Canaanite slave who belonged to two owners, and was emancipated by one of them, Rabbi Yehuda deems him liable, and the rabbis deem him exempt. Now we're back to the Gemara. The Gemara asks, and does the first Tana not require exploitation as a condition for liability? The Torah states it explicitly in the verse in Deuteronomy. Rabbi Achaz, son of Rava, says the difference between them is in a case of exploitation worth less than the value of 1 pruta, or 1 coin. The first Tana holds that one is liable for an exploitation and there's no minimum value in order to establish liability. Rabbi Yehuda holds that one is liable only if one derives benefit equal to at least 1 pruta from his exploitation. Rabbi Yirmiyah raises a dilemma. If one abducted another and sold him while he was asleep, what is the halacha? If one abducted and sold a pregnant woman solely for benefit from her fetus, what is the halacha? Is that a matter of exploitation for which one is liable to be executed, or is that not a matter of exploitation for which one is liable to be executed? The Gemara asks, with regard to the dilemmas raised by Rabbi Yirmiyah, but let him derive that the abductor is not liable as there is no exploitation at all of a sleeping individual or a fetus. The Gemara answers, no, it is necessary to raise the dilemma with regard to the sleeping individual in a case where one reclines on him, and with regard to the pregnant woman where one stands her in the face of the wind to protect himself from the wind. In those cases, is that a manner of exploitation for which one is liable to be executed? Or is that not a manner of exploitation for which one is liable to be executed? What is the halacha? The Gemara concludes the dilemma shall stand, or take Q unresolved. The sages taught in a Braita that it is written, if a man shall be found abducting a person of his brethren from the children of Israel, and he exploited him and sold him, then that abductor shall die. Deuteronomy 24:7. I have derived only that a man who abducted another is liable. From where is it derived that a woman who abducted another is liable as well? It is derived from the verse that states, and one who abducts a man and sells him, if he be found in his hand, he shall be put to death. Exodus 21:16, where the sex of the abductor is not specified, or the gender. Okay, and it says, I have derived only that a man who abducted another, whether a man or a woman, is liable. As it is written, if a man shall be found abducting a person, the abductor is male, but the gender of the abductee is not specified. And I derive that a woman who abducted a man is liable, as it is written, and one who abducts a man. The gender of the abductor is not specified, but the abductee is male. From where is it derived that a woman who abducted a woman is liable as well? It is derived from the verse that states, then that abductor shall die. Deuteronomy 24:7. The abductor shall die in any case, regardless of the gender of the one who abducted. It is taught in another Braita that it is written, if a man is found abducting a person of his brethren, from which it is derived that whether he abducts a man, or whether he abducts a woman, or whether he abducts a convert, or whether he abducts an emancipated slave or a minor, he is liable. If he abducted another but did not sell him, or if he sold him but he remains in his domain, the abductor is exempt. If he sold him to the father of the abductee, or to the brother, or to one of the other relatives, the abductor is liable. One who abducts slaves is exempt. And that's the end of 85. Thank you.